Hi, thank you for tuning in to Amy's Crafts and Things. I'm Amy. Today in PE Design 11, I'm going to show you how I created a quilted in the hoop coaster. The first thing that we will do is grab our shape tool and go for a rectangle. I'm actually just wanting to draw a square. I'm not too fussy on the size at this point. I just want to make sure that it's a running stitch and there is no fill. Then I will go home and address the size. So I'm going to uncheck Maintain Aspect Ratio and check the size button, and I'm going to enter in a 4" by 4" square and click OK. Then I'm going to go to Home and Arrange and move to Center, and I can tell that this might be too big, but we'll see what happens. Let's go to our Rotate Flip. Click on Rotate and it will bring up a box asking you how many degrees you would like to rotate it. I would like to do a 45-degree rotation and click OK. And if you see, I'll zoom out, go home, I will zoom out, and you can see that it extends past my hoop, so it's too big, so I need to resize it. So we'll go back to Size, Maintain Aspect Ratio, and click OK, and now it's resized in the hoop. The next thing that I would like to do is I would like to create a fabric tack down based on my fabric placement. So I will go ahead and make sure it's selected. I will go home and copy and paste and assign it a different color. And that's the fabric tack down. The next thing that we need to do is we need to create sewing lines for our fabric flaps. And to do that, we will go home and click on Paste one more time and give it another color. And this will be our fabric sew down. However, we're not done yet. We need to tell our machine to stop after each side is sewn. So we need to break apart our sideways square. To do that, we will click on our shape point tool, and then we will click on the point at the top and split at point, and we will do that for all 3 points around at the corners. Click on the point, go to Shapes and Split at Point, go to Shapes, Split at Point, and I'll click on that last point in the corner, Shapes, Split at Point. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to right click and select the objects of that broken apart square. I need to resize that because it needs to be a sewing line, which means it needs to be smaller than our fabric placement. So we'll go home and click on Size. I like to give it a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So we need to do that on each side. So basically it's a 1/2 inch smaller square. 3.50 by 3.50 and click OK. But we need to also extend each sewing line to match up to the fabric line. So to do that, we will expand our broken up square, right click on the top one, select the object, and then we will grab the point in the corner, the upper right hand corner, and drag it till it matches the fabric placement line area, and we'll do that to the bottom left corner as well. And because these are sewing lines and we need to do each one of these individually on our machine, we do need to give it a different color as well. So we'll run up and we'll grab on our color and we'll change it. And we'll do that for the next piece to our broken apart square. Right click, select the object, expand it till it meets the fabric placement line, and we'll change the color. It doesn't matter what color you pick, it's just telling your machine to stop and do something. Multi-needle machines, you will need to program in those stops on your machines, as well as assigning different colors here. And we will expand this one. And the final one is already a different color, so we'll just resize it. Fantastic. This is a really good place to put a design. If you would like to do a quilted background fill of a design, we do need to select everything. So we'll go up to the select all, go up to background fill, click on it, and it will ask you to select the region you want filled. So I want the innermost part of my region filled, and you can choose any of the fill types. Let's try the decorative fill. And you can add that. Or if you would rather, you could also go to import patterns from your design library, and you can go to quilt under the category, and you can pick any of these fantastic quilting designs that are built into our program. And we'll click import. Just make sure that when you do these, you size them so they are inside your stitching lines. So let's go to size, maintain aspect ratio, and we'll see what that does. We'll click preview. It's a little close, but we'll call it good for today. And that will put a quilted design on top of your quilted coaster part. And then you also need to create a stitch line for the back part of your fabric, but you also need to make sure that you leave an opening for turning and pressing and sealing. So let's create another square. We'll go up to our fabric placement line. We'll right click, select the object, go home, copy and paste. But this time we need to rotate it. So we'll click on rotate, get to our degrees, enter in 45 degrees, click OK. And we will expand it or resize it big enough so that it sews right over the intersection of your sewing lines. So it meets fine at the top. On the right hand side, mine looks fine. And we'll go down to the lower left hand corner and drag it till it meets the intersection of both of those points. And then we need to select it. And I want to make sure in sewing attributes we set that at a runtime of 3, because it is sewing a bunch of layers together. And we want to make sure it's sturdy. And we need to create an opening. So we'll go home. We will select our select point tool. We will create an opening at the bottom, just big enough to be able to turn it and seal it shut either by hand sewing or with your favorite adhesive for fabric. So we'll go shapes, split up point. We'll click on the other one, shapes, split up point. Scroll all the way down, expand that last box into its 2 pieces, grab the small little piece we want to remove, select the object, and delete. If you would like to add top stitching to your quilted coaster, you can do that by going up to your fabric placement line, right-clicking, select the object, go home, copy, paste, go up to shapes and change it to either a triple stitch, a zigzag, a motif stitch, candle wicking, any of these fantastic stitches you can use as a top stitch for your quilted coaster. I will choose a triple stitch for mine. And we're going to make sure we move it up. We need to expand it because it made it the same color as the last one. We're going to move it up to sew out just before we sew our design. So after we sew out all 4 flaps, we'll open the flaps up as we go through each stitch, and then we will do our top stitching. Now we can run through our sewing simulator to make sure we have all of our pieces. So here's our fabric placement line and our fabric tack down line, followed by sewing of the flaps. We'll sew one, open it up, sew another, and open it up. We'll do that to all 4 sides. And then we'll do our top stitching, our design if we choose to do a quilted design, and then we'll sew our back on. When we do the back, it's always right sides together, so the wrong sides will be facing upwards when you do the back side. And there you have it. There is your In the Hoop quilted coaster in PE Design 11. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to be notified when new videos are made available. Thank you for watching, and may your bobbin always be full.